for any goal. If you want to be worth $50 million, you have to understand what your net worth is today and what you need to produce along the way to get there. So you need to reverse engineer step by step what it's going to take. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I'm an executive coach that helps successful professionals get wealthy outside of the office in their mind, their body, and their relationships. I'm an expert at this because I did it myself. I sat in your seat inside of corporate America for 20 years. If I can do it, so can you. Welcome to 2025. I hope you had a phenomenal holiday season. At the time of this recording, it's January 6th, 2025. It's likely when most people are starting their journey on the road to new me in 2025. Why start on January 1st when you can wait 5 days, right? Typically, people wait until the Monday, the first Monday, the first full week of the year. And so here we are. And so if you haven't gotten started yet, this is a reminder, get your ass in gear. If you have, keep going. If you're like many people that I work with and got back to it right after their Christmas holiday, awesome. If you're like the other people that I worked with and had a great holiday vacation that took them through maybe this past weekend and they got right back to it, great. Just do it. Just get going. The only way that you can not accomplish the things that you say that you want is to, number one, not start. Remember, it's the start that stops most people. But then also, once you do get stopped, and if I want to rephrase it, maybe it's a slight pause, maybe it's a hesitation, maybe it's a little layover on your trip. Most people don't get back on the road. Just get your ass back on the road and keep going. Remember, the GPS system. We'll talk a little bit about GPS systems during this short conversation this week. Waze will never send you back to the original start location. It'll always continually reroute you, attempting you to get to where you want to go. And we'll talk a little bit about where you want to go as well. Never in the history of the GPS has it told you to go home. Never in the history of the GPS has it talked to you and told you that you're a loser, to shame you, and to have regret, and to do all the things that us silly human beings do along our journey. And so just treat yourself like a GPS system. The problem is that we're human and that we often go through that same cycle. And I can confidently speak about it into this camera and into this microphone, but I go through it myself. And so what's really important to have? Co-pilots, people riding shotgun with you. And we'll talk about that too this week. This week, I want to talk about four things. That's it. Just four that will guarantee your success in 2025. If you do these four things in whatever it is that you desire, and that can be in your mental performance, that can be in your physical performance, it can be in your relationships, your relational performance, the three pillars of my executive coaching program. It can also be within your profession, in your money, in your wealth, in your career. Or it can be in another category that I just haven't defined. I don't care. If you do these four things consistently, I promise you, you absolutely will achieve whatever it is you set out to. So let's jump into it. What's number one? Number one is you have to have a defined goal. You have to know where you are pointing the GPS towards. You can't get in the car and get turn-by-turn directions if you don't put in a destination. It knows where you're starting from. And that's also a very important point too. It's very important to understand where you're starting from, because if you and I go on our own, let's say, fitness journeys, I may be starting from a very different place than you. Likely I am, because I'm 10 years into this. And so it's not rational for you to compare where I am and where I start from, and maybe even what my goal is versus what yours is. Now, ultimately, it's totally reasonable for you to have similar goals as me, but it may just take you longer to get there. And so people often look at maybe where I'm at And I do the same thing. I look at where other people are at in their business, in their fitness, some things that they're capable of doing that I can't do, or the way they look, or their body compositions, or whatever it may be. And I realize that it's intimidating and it's discouraging sometimes. But I can speak to this now personally, that all you need to do is just make a commitment, not for a month, not for the month of January, all right? Not a January challenge, not a first quarter program, not even, you don't want to hear this, but not even for 2025. If you actually commit to going on a multi-year journey with yourself, I promise you, you can achieve anything that you want, anything. We discount our capability to do amazing things in longer periods of time because we're incredibly impatient. And again, I can say this very confidently into the camera because I know it, but I have a really hard time doing it myself because I'm just like you. I'm very much like you. And so therefore, I do the things that I'm going to tell you to do, especially the last one. Okay? So we got to know where we're going. Now, one caveat for that, on that point, all right? The more specific you are with where you want to go, the more clear it will be on where you need to go next. And that's number 2, actually. But some people get stuck because they rationally say, I don't really know what I want. I have a lot of great things. I fully understand that many people who listen to this and who watch this on YouTube will say to themselves, my life's pretty good. What do I really want that I don't have? This is where you can get stuck because you can get complacent. Life can be pretty good. It can be good and fine, like we talk about a lot, especially with us men, our tough guy men, where we don't want to share things. We don't want to dig deeper. We don't want to understand truly what's behind some of the things that we think about once in a while. And we get stuck in this life is pretty good cycle. And while that's not the worst place to be, because you're maybe not in danger of anything serious happening in your life yet, it is a dangerous place to be because things can get stale. Things can get stagnant. All of a sudden, your wife can walk into the room. I'm now raising my hand for people listening to this on audio. She can walk into the room 10 years ago. Guys, almost to the day, she walked into the room 10 years ago and said, I don't know about this. I'm not so sure that I want to keep doing what we're doing right now, i.e. being married, because this isn't what I signed up for. And while there were numbers of signs, now that I look back, in the moment, I was blindsided by that. And so you can get blindsided by being pretty good, fine, not too bad, definitely better than other people that you know, right? I fell into that trap for a long time. My marriage was better than others. My body was pretty good. It wasn't clearly, obviously, as bad as other people's, right? I had a great career. I had money in the bank. I was like, everything was on the surface to the public, looking like I had it all together. If you opened up the door, you peeked in the window, you just kind of dug around a little bit, asked a few questions, my life was a fucking shit show on the inside. And I don't want that to happen to you. So number 1, you got to have a defined goal. If you can't fully define the goal, at least start moving towards the general direction. So if you don't know if you want 6 abs, 8 abs, no abs, a flatter stomach, more confidence, feel great about yourself around the pool in the summer, have your wife go, what the hell have you been doing? Come here, let me check you out, right? For my ladies, if you want to look good in that tight dress that you haven't worn in a while, if you want to look bikini ready for your next trip, like you just have to get started. Action is the bridge. And I promise you, along the journey, you will start to define where it is you want to go. You may be on the East Coast and say that you'd like to go towards the West Coast, maybe California, and on your way, you decide that San Francisco is an absolute shithole. So you know what? I'm going to head a little bit more south. And you further define the destination. And then you go, well, LA is kind of a shithole too. So maybe I'm going to spend some time in Orange County or San Diego. And as you get closer and closer and closer, you're going to need an exact coordinate in order to park the car, to get out and to enjoy your vacation or your destination, wherever it is that you go. But I promise you, you'll get more and more clear about where that is if you just start moving. It's very unclear when you are on the couch, when you are stuck in the place that you currently are at. You need to have a little bit of faith. You need to have a little bit of trust in a process. And that's number two. Number two is you have to start to identify some of the turn-by-turn directions. Typically, that comes via a structured program, maybe a mentor, maybe a coach, or something that you have figured out on your own based on trial and error. I'm not here to tell you which one you should do. I certainly have my opinions, being someone who does this for a living, as to what may be the best approach for you, but that's not the point of this podcast. The point of the podcast and the point of number two is you have to identify what your turn-by-turn directions are. Again, if you're going across the country, you got to know what highways to get on. You got to know when to take breaks. You have to start to figure out a structured plan for yourself. What do you need to do? Reverse engineer. So for any goal, if you want to be worth $50 million, you have to understand what your net worth is today and what you need to produce along the way to get there. So you need to reverse engineer step by step what it's going to take. Again, people understand this in the business concept. Your 2025 budget and plan and projections are all done. I know this. Unfortunately, your personal projections aren't done for your personal life and your mental, physical, and relational performance. That's another story. Why your business life is totally buttoned up for the year, but your personal one, you're in the midst of some fucking January challenge where you're just going to throw shit up against the wall and hope something sticks. You're going to end up in the same place in the middle of February that everybody else is and that you've always been. But I digress, okay? You need to identify how we're going to get to where we're going to go. And you would do it via step by step by step. And at work, that might look like quarterly goals. Then you break it down into monthly performance projections. Then it's, what do we focus on this week? And every day you come in and you identify the task and you get to work. And you need to do that in any other area of your life. If you want your marriage to be the most epic marriage you possibly could imagine by the end of the year, it's going to take maybe a couple of vacations. It's going to take maybe weekly date nights. It's going to take daily communication. You may need to start leaving more notes. You may need to start showing acts of service around the house. You may need to commit to more quality time. All of these things contribute to the end result, the destination at the end of the year, which is, I couldn't believe how great my marriage has become. But it doesn't just happen if you don't have a plan. You can't throw shit up against the wall, especially for longer periods of time. Day to day, week to week, yeah, it might work. It might work. And if that is your plan, start to audit what's sticking up against the wall and what's falling down. At least, at a minimum, throw it up there, but we don't even analyze it. We just throw it up there, and then we just kind of move on to the next thing. Well, that's number two. Identify the turn-by-turn directions in your journey. Again, following an expert certainly can help make the journey shorter, more efficient, less wrong turns, right? End up lost less along the way. Find someone or a group of people who have done what you're looking to do. People who I search out are the people who have what I want already. So I'm not going to hire a broke-ass business coach. I'm not going to hire a fat health coach. I'm not going to hire a divorced marriage coach. By definition, for me, you can do whatever you want. By definition, for me, they're not fundamentally living what I want. So why would I go seek them out? So find people, this is advice from me, find people that have and are doing what you currently want to do. Number three, track it. Whatever it is you are looking to achieve, I guarantee your success will skyrocket. Your compliance will skyrocket if you simply begin to track it. Obviously, everything inside of our careers is tracked. We know our numbers. I used to be able to tell you my profit and loss, my P&L, to the dollar every day, for the year, for the month, for the day. I could tell you and break down maybe what percentage of my P&L was what we would call trading P&L, crossing bonds back and forth, maybe some carry, positions that I had that were unrealized. I could break all of that down for you. Yet you don't know certain aspects of maybe food that you're putting in your mouth. When I ask you how much you drink, you go, not too much, a couple days a week. Well, what do you mean a couple days a week? Are we talking about a glass of wine with dinner a couple days a week? Are we talking about 2 glasses of wine? Or are we talking about 4 or 5 or 6 drinks, 3 or 4 days a week? So start to track the things that you are doing, okay? Some really impactful ones when it comes to our physical health. Tracking your steps. How many steps per day are you taking? What is going on inside your body? What are we putting inside your body from a calorie standpoint, from a macronutrient standpoint, right? Track your weight every day, every couple of days. Get on the scale. It's not that scary. It's a fucking number. Just get on it. Start to track it. I guarantee you'll get more in touch with what's happening and maybe some of the choices you're making when you see that scale moving, both higher and lower. You know how many people put the scale away for the month of December and are afraid to get back on it still right now? What if you were weighing yourself every single day? What if you saw those 4 or 5 pounds start to creep up? Would you have maybe made some better choices, before you went absolutely off the rails for the last week or 2 of the year? Maybe, I don't know. I'd like to think you would. At least you'd be aware and start to understand and connect the dots between the choices you're making and the results you're getting. You do this at work all the time. We get feedback all the time, right? It doesn't matter if you're in a business like I used to be in, like financial services, or if you're a tradesperson, or if you're, a doctor or a lawyer, like you get feedback, okay? If you do a shitty job, you're told. Somebody complains, a pipe breaks, whatever, a tooth breaks, right? You screw up surgery, someone's going to know about it. Someone's going to talk to you about it once that happens. So we get this feedback all the time in our careers. We avoid it as much as possible in our personal lives. So track it, okay? The 3 most impactful things you could track if we're just talking about your body composition, maybe losing some of that holiday weight, steps, your daily weight, or at least every other day. And then what are you putting in your body? Food, caloric beverages, okay? Which should just be alcohol. If you're drinking caloric beverages other than alcohol, like what are you, a child? You drinking Gatorade or lemonade? What's going on, right? Coffee, water, alcohol. What else is there? Maybe diet soda. I drink some diet soda. Okay, non-calorie, non-caloric beverages. Those aren't bad for fat loss. I wouldn't be slugging Diet Cokes on a daily basis, but I have a Diet Coke a couple days a week for sure. All right. Lastly, if you want to start to amp up the intensity when it comes to your physical body, I would be tracking what it is you're lifting in the gym. Because again, what gets measured starts to get analyzed and then starts to get improved. And how do you know if you're improving anything if you don't have the data? And so in my programs, we track what it is you're doing in the gym. Sets and reps, baby. I have a beautiful app that you could just plug in your numbers. You can get videos of the exercises. You can see what you did last week. You can compete with yourself. You get to pull up this data. It's real time. It's great. Start to understand where you're at. If you don't, you don't really know if you're improving or not. Yes, at some point you'll know. You'll realize that you're now lifting the 75-pound dumbbells and you started 6 months ago at the 50s. But week to week incremental improvements are very motivating. Very motivating. Trust me. Okay. Lastly, the last thing you have to do. All right. This will be a pitch and a plug for someone like me, but I don't care if you don't hire me or you don't want to, be in my ecosystem. You can do this for free and you can pay for it. Get accountable. Find accountability in your life. Accountability is an insurance policy on your own success. If you are not accountable to a person or a group of people, you are leaving massive amounts of money on the table. All right? Figuratively and literally. You will not show up to the same meeting at the office every single week with a group of your peers and have nothing to show for it. If it's just you, solo, every once in a while, you'll likely not do what you're supposed to do. But if you have to be accountable to a group of people, you're absolutely going to show up and at least try to fucking fake it. Okay? If someone's picking you up every morning to go to the gym, you are multiple times more likely to get up out of bed. Do you think you'll hit the snooze button if you know that I'm sitting outside in my car at 5 a.m. waiting for you to get into it? Would you hit the snooze button if you know that I'm already at the gym waiting for you to train? And if you don't show up, I'm going to text you pissed off. Yo, we were supposed to be at the gym. Where were you? Like, why am I getting up if you're not getting up? Why are we doing this together? You will let somebody else down far less than you let yourself down. I don't understand why. It's a fact. I've stopped trying to analyze it. I just go with it. And so that's why being inside of a structured program that helps you define the goals, that will set the turn-by-turn directions for you, that will give you the metrics to track it, and then will hold you accountable along the way, is literally a foolproof way to guarantee your success. Now, my program happens to focus on your mental, your physical, and your relational performance. And we have metrics to track all of this inside of a program like mine. If that's something that's interesting to you, you can reach out to me and let me know. If it's not, do it on your own, okay? Find somebody, find a friend, find a spouse, find an accountability partner at the office. Find someone to help you so that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve. I appreciate you. I wish you a happy new year. I told you I wasn't going to wish you much of a happy new year, but I'm going to say it one time. I hope you had a fantastic holiday season. Please, in January, if you are looking to change your life, it is the start that stops most people. So if you haven't started yet in the month of January, the good news is it's only January 6th or the first week of. So just get started. And if you do trip up, and if you do struggle, remember, it's just a pause. It's just a rest stop in the destination along the way. So just get back to it. If you don't stop, if you don't ever stop trying, I promise you, you will be successful at whatever it is you're looking to accomplish. Do these 4 things. Have a defined goal. Identify the turn-by-turn directions. Track it and get accountable. You'll be successful in 2025. I wish you a great one, and I'll see you back here for another episode next week.